So what's up people, and welcome to another Warframe Fashionframe video. So today's video is not about a Tenogen skin, nor is it about a deluxe skin or event skin. Instead, I want to focus on a specific frame, and the frame for this episode is Gara. So as you know, Gara is the most recently released frame by DE, and many people consider her to be the glass frame, although I like to consider her as the crystal frame because many of the transparent areas on her frame seem more like jewelry than they do like glass. But in any case, from what I hear, the name Gara comes from the Japanese word for glass, which is garasu. And if you drop the su, of course you get gara, which then if you try to speak it in English sort of phonics, you get gara. Now what's interesting is, of course, the Japanese never used the phrase gara to represent glass, so if you were to say Gara, glass wouldn't be the first thing that they would think of. But in any case, enough trivia or enough Japanese trivia. This is about Fashionframe. So what I wanted to do is, now that I have this frame, since there's enough videos out there for how to mod this frame for the most ultimate capability, all I wanted to do was make a video on how I basically fashion framed her. And this isn't really a guide to fashion framing, this is just more the examples of what I did for my frame. And since she is the crystal frame, I wanted to color coordinate her in terms of crystal themes. And so most of the fashion frame examples that I will show will be based upon some sort of crystal or gemstone theme base. Okay, so first up we have the Turquoise Azurite Gara. So as you can see, it's mostly blue, and thinking about blue gemstones, especially dark blue ones, there were a few, but many had unusual names like lapis lazuli, and I wasn't particularly fond of calling her the lapis lazuli Gara. So Azurite is a fairly dark blue crystal, and turquoise is of course a fairly light blue crystal, and so the two together work quite well. So as you can see, the primary and secondary colors are dark blue. As you can see here, I'm using mostly saturated and a little bit of green, I guess, that I put down here, although you could change it to blue, I guess. I used light blue for the turquoise color here, and overall these blue combinations look quite good. Now I do have a little bit of orange, so I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to explain that out unless I use something like amber, but overall I do want to keep this frame mostly for a blue color sort of theme. And if I do it completely blue, then it's going to be a little bit difficult. But I did of course make the energy blue, so overall her transparent crystals on the frame are all bluish as well. So in general, I may have cheated a little by using a few other colors, but I do like the Turquoise Azurite theme for this frame. Now as for the attachments, I've given her the Eos chest piece, the Dendra shoulder pieces, which is why they're glowing so orange, and the Avia leg pieces. Her legs are so long and slender that I figured I would put a little bit of distinction on there and gave her the Avia, which I think looks pretty good here. And I put more orange on the attachments, but they contrast well with her blue, her really strong blue on the frame, and overall it gives it a fiery glow contrast to the overall Turquoise Azurite look. Yeah, so I do like how this one came out. It is a dark color, but it isn't really overpowering dark, and so it does still have a colorful theme. Now I gave her the phased Asa Sandana, so it gives a slight turquoise type of light blue to the overall look, and yeah, I think it looks pretty nice. The reason why I like the Asa Sandana is it's not a big cloak, and because Gara has such a nice design in the back with all her crystals, I thought that something as small as the phased as a Sandana would look good. Now, for her sigil, I gave her the Ostron Community sigil, which is a fairly recent sigil. It kind of looks like the Lotus sigil. But overall, it, I think, fits pretty nicely on her overall design. I put it up, flipped it upside down as usual, and it has the light turquoise blue look, similar to that of the frame. So yeah, if you like blue, if you especially like dark blue, then this might be a good example of what Gara may look like under a turquoise azurite blue theme. Okay, so next up we have a much more lighter look in Sapphire Amethyst sort of Gara. And she's sporting her Gara Agile stance here so that you could kind of see what the frames look like in the different stances. And this one's really nice too. This has a much more refreshing, lighter look to it. And as you can see, I'm using a lot of light blues, a little bit of dark blues to the contrast in certain areas. But overall, it's much more lighter in theme. And the crystal, especially in the energy area, as you can see, is a pinkish purplish sort of color, and the two together, basically the pink and the purple together, basically give it the amethyst sort of look. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly. But overall, yeah, the contrast of the dark blue in certain areas just gives it just the right contrast to make it stand out and not look too airy. And yeah, I do like this look very much, possibly even more so than the first one, which was the turquoise azurite look. This light blue look really stands out well. Okay, so with regards to attachments, it's still the EOS, well, this time a Prime chest plate. Still the Dendra shoulder guards and the Avia leg guards. So they're basically the same sort of attachments as before. Sorry, I'm kind of playing around with the colors here just to see what it looks like if I change them. But overall, you see a much more darker blue look to the attachments, which help give it a slightly darker contrast and makes the entire frame stand out. Yeah, it looks very nice. Well, at least from my perspective. And once again, the Avia leg guards help because she has such slender legs. It gives her a little bit of presence in the leg area. Now, as far as the Sandana, for this one, I did the Harkonnen Wraith cloak. So now that you could actually change the colors of the Harkonnen Wraith attachments, this one's again small enough that you can still see the intricate crystal structure in the back, or crystal design in the back. But you still have a little bit more structured Sandana than the phased Asa Sandana. So since this was a much more lighter looking frame design, I wanted something with a little bit more presence than the phased Asa Sandana. Now, as far as the I don't know if I could see it from the stance. Can I see it from the stance? Oh, she stands up. Okay, from the sigil, she's using a solstice sigil. Now it's almost hard to see here. It starts glowing white sometimes, and then later on glows dark. But overall, it's the solstice sigil, which basically is the kind of the Christmas tree sigil. I have it upside down as usual, and it's again, it's not too present, but you kind of do see some sort of glowing effect in the chest area, which gives it a nice design to the overall light look of this frame. Yeah, I think I will keep this design as one of my main designs because I do like Gara in this look. Okay, so next up, for those of you who might like even lighter looking colors, here is a diamond themed Gara. So this is mostly a pure whitish sort of look. I do have a little bit of blue, maybe again turquoise or sapphire, a little bit in there for accents, but overall this is very pure white. And for her primary, I did use the white from the smoke color, which does give a very bright white. in this color palette, and I just noticed that it does actually look pretty good with the black as well. But yeah, and then the secondaries is more from ice. You know, I do have a few little pastel kind of looks in there just to give it a slight tinge of color. But overall, yeah, aside from a little bit of blue here and there, this is a very pure white color. Even the energy is white, which, yeah, I have to make it that way if I want to have a diamond look to it, so that the crystals will end up looking very pure. Yeah, so this one's really nice. I mean, it is kind of a acquired taste. Maybe some people won't like it, but for those of you who like a very pure, kind of whitish look, then this one I think looks pretty nice. Now, this one has a via chest plate rather than the EOS. I'm using one Riv Elite guard arm on the left side to give it a little bit of contrast. Nothing on the right. I used, for this color, the Porta leg guards actually look quite good. And yeah, if you kind of leave the accessories or the attachments with the color combination you saw there, then you get a little bit of contrast anyway, and it looks pretty nice, I think. Overall, with this light look, then she may need a little bit of presence in the legs again. As far as the sandana is concerned, I'm using the Rota sandana, which I've always liked. I kind of like the blue contrast with the white plate at the back, and I think, yeah, overall it looks pretty nice. I do have a Savati Sakara on the side that doesn't have an attachment, and I'm using a Zanuka sigil here. It's barely visible, but I do have a slightly bluish tinge to it so that it matches well with the via chest plate, and overall gives her a slightly bluish contrast. I don't want to give her a strong amount of contrast overall because she is supposed to be a pure white diamond looking theme, but I did want to give her a slightly tinged look so that she doesn't end up looking completely white as a ghost. Anyway, yeah, this one's pretty nice. I mean, it is, again, an acquired taste. I like it, but I hope you do too. But even if you don't, I just wanted to give you an example of what Gara would look like under a diamond sort of theme. Okay, so for the next example, coming back down to more earth tone type colors, I have the Jade Obsidian Amber Gara here. And of course, Jade is a very green sort of gem, and Amber is very yellow. And Obsidian, of course, is black, but Obsidian is, of course, really not a gem. It's actually the closest thing of all the things I've talked about as being glass. And so maybe it's the most Gara-like out of all these stones. But the reason for that is, of course, I wanted to use black, and I can't really find too many gemstones that have a black color to it, so I figured Obsidian will be the closest thing I got. And again, since it's glass, or a glass type, then I figured it might be appropriate. Okay, so much for my spinning of what these colors are. Yeah, so this is, again, acquired taste. Some people don't like green colors, but I thought this one actually looks pretty cool. It has that kind of a dragon-esque look, type look to it, and I thought the amber and the jade work quite well. It also has an Asian feel to it, and yeah. If you like this sort of theme, which I tend to like, it's pretty nice. It doesn't have as standoutish sort of look as some of the lighter colors that we had before, but I thought it looked, yeah, overall looked pretty good. Again, I'm using the Phased Asa Sandana here. I'm using a lot of Riv Elites here because it tends to work well with the amber colors. It gives her that glow look. And then I have a conclave sigil here along with the EOS chest piece. So I flipped the conclave sigil upside down and gave that an amber look as well. So the amber look works well with the Riv Elites because it has that glowish, goldish sort of look to it. And overall, it contrasts well with the jade green that you have here. So yeah, I think this is nice. I'm not sure if everybody else thinks this is nice, but I think this is nice. Okay, so much for earth tone Gara, and let's move on to the next one. Okay, so for the next example, for those of you who might like more brighter colors that stand out, and it's a very colorful looking frame, here I have a ruby tanzanite aquamarine Gara. Yeah, that's a long mouthful name, but I have 3 different colors here, and tanzanite of course is a very dark bluish purple sort of gem. Ruby is of course red, and aquamarine is a very light blue, almost a whitish sort of blue. And so yeah, they tend to contrast well amongst each other, and if you have ruby all by itself, then it tends to be too red that I don't know, for me it's just too overpowering red. So the tanzanite purple and the aquamarine blue tend to balance everything out quite a bit. And so as you can see here, I'm using again the Gara Agile animation. She looks really good in that. But yeah, for the attachments I have the Avia chestplate again, the Rivolite guard arms. I really do like the Rivolites, and they do work well with Gara because there's not too many guard shoulder decorations that work well with the crystals so close together. And I'm using the Quarrel leg armor here, and the Quarrel looks good because again she has slender legs, and if you want to showcase the slender legs, then Quarrels don't look good at all. But the slender legs are so long that they actually work well with the Quarrel. I thought that the Quarrel would be overpowering, but then it actually works well. I'm using the Rota Sandana again, and you know, now it's starting to become a repeat of a lot of the other attachments that I've been using up till now. But the Rota looks pretty good because again, the plate contrasting with the rest of the metal around it makes it look pretty good. Again, I have one Savati Sakara on one side, and on the other side is just with the Rivolites. And again, I'm using the Zanuka sigil here. And in this case, unlike the last one where you could barely see it, here it's there. It exists to stand out really well against the dark red or the bold red ruby design. And yeah, I mean, this one's very colorful. If you like a colorful sort of frame, then this might work. If you're much more into a more subdued frame, then this might be too overpowering. But again, I just wanted to show how Gara may look if you started using some very bright colors. So yeah, ruby, amethyst, no, tanzanite, I'm sorry, ruby, tanzanite, aquamarine, Gara. Yeah, okay, say that 3 times. And one final design. This one's not really a gemstone themed, although I do have one gem in there. This one's really more the Oric theme. So this is a Oric Amber Gara. So the crystals, as you can see, are yellow for the amber look, but overall that same yellow can look like gold for the rest of the frame. And so yeah, this one I wanted to show to see if I could take Gara and make her look like Gara Prime, I guess, with a whitish, goldish sort of look to her. And yeah, I kind of like this one as well. Again, because it has such a Prime sort of look to her. And I'm using again the EOS chest plate, yeah, yada yada yada, EOS shoulder plates, wow, not Rivolites here. And the Quarrel leg armor for the same reason as the last frame. Now, as far as the regalia is concerned, I'm using the Solstice sigil here again, upside down for the same reason. It has a very slight glowish look to it. And as far as the Sandana is concerned, I'm using the Rapala Sandana. I really like the Rapala Sandana. In general, I have been using very small Sandanas so that you could look at the crystal, but this is a Prime frame, and the Prime frame is supposed to look a little bit more regal and kind of knightish, at least from my perspective, maybe not from the Oric lore. So I did give her a cloak, and I made it darker so that it will contrast against the very light look of the frame. And overall, I think for that very reason as well, this overall look, I think, looks pretty good. She does look like a crusader, especially with her neuroptic, which almost makes her look like a knight. You know, so when you give her this white sort of look, heck, she looks like she could go into Avalon, you know, and sit down at the Knights of the Round. Okay, so this wraps up this video. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you got some good examples of how Gara may look in different crystal colors. And we'll continue on with more fashion frame videos in the future. If you have any comments, please post them in the comment section below, and hope you join us in our next Warframe video. And until the next time, we wish you all the best, and Jaya, nice day everyone.